everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as usual, by the great, talented Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you?
Thank you very much, Gary. Doing great. How about yourself? We're only a week away from Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer.
That, and I noticed my team, the Mets, because they're not going to be home next weekend. I don't know about the Phillies, but the Mets are wearing their, I guess it's a khaki green hat or this weekend. They had it on Friday night. They were rained out yesterday in that soggy down easter or whatever you want to call it. But wearing those honorary caps for the Memorial Day weekend.
Over and grabbed mine for the viewers and put it on here. Yeah, I grabbed mine a couple of weeks ago at the stadium. It's one of those flex fit ones that I got. I kind of like those ones for the summer. Anyway, it's not that real thick wool, on field type fitted cap, but this one stretches. It's nice and light. Same hat, and it's really great. And it's wonderful that the MLB again is honoring our Armed Forces weekend here. Yeah, in Philadelphia, it's the same thing, and across the league as well. Armed Forces Day. This weekend was yesterday, actually, Saturday.
And that we had a bad rain here up in New York, but apparently they didn't have it down there as bad.
Yeah, the coastal storm sort of moved up the coast and the Phillies, even though that's the funny thing about weather and rain and baseball games. You just really never know because a couple days ago I glanced in at the weather for today at Philadelphia because I had tickets to the game for today, and it said 24% chance of rain. Now that was a couple days ago, but as of today, it doesn't seem like it's going to rain at all. So you make your plans accordingly. Sometimes I know I dislike getting caught in any rainstorms at the ball games, especially because, especially now, you get all the way to the ballpark, and we talked about this at a previous show, the way the MLB is handling rainouts now. You used to get to see the game again if you got to the ballpark and it didn't make it to a certain inning. But now, if it gets called in the third inning and you're up there, you may have to come back another day and pick that game up from the third inning now. And I don't think that's very fair. I think we talked about that before. But that's what's going on now. So it's always a double-edged sword sometimes when you pick up tickets.
And that was one of the reasons I know we used to have season tickets, and as you get older, it gets a little. I know people say, "What are you crazy?" But it does get a little bit more difficult because uh, you don't know if it's raining. I don't like to go. I have arthritis, so the rain is not a good thing. If it's one of those iffy days, do you go? I can remember my brother and I going to games, and uh, all of a sudden it was a deluge and they canceled the game, and then here we paid our in those days $20 a parking. Now it's $40 to park a car, or if not more. And it just it kind of becomes a hassle. Sometimes I wish I still had my season tickets, but uh the older you get, you enjoy it more at home, I think, because it's a little bit easier on you,
Yeah.
especially with the bathroom situation and that sort of thing. So, but it's always great to go to the ballpark.
Yes, it is. And we'll segue into our first story. I know we have to bring one back from last week that we neglected, but MLB attendance this year. I'll just bring it up real quick while we're talking about going to the ballpark. Number one, and this is updated as of yesterday, yesterday's game on Saturday. LA Dodgers bringing in the most fans in baseball so far. They got at 1.1 million fans, an average of 47,873 taking in ball games there so far, 24 home games. And guess what? The Philadelphia Phillies are in second place on an average by about
Wow.
ahead by about 80, 90 fans right at this time. Philadelphia coming in second place, only 20 games in, and they're averaging 39,691. Right behind them, St. Louis, 39,602. And rounding out the New York Yankees, number four, at 38,955 on an average. So baseball in the big cities is alive and doing well.
Do I want to ask where my team is coming in?
Yes, I will. Let's see. We're ranked at number 12 here. The New York Mets,
All right.
30,819.
Okay.
They're right behind Boston and right ahead of Milwaukee. So not too bad. It's early yet.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's early yet. And did they say whether attendance is up or down over the last year?
Um, I did not get that stat yet. I'll try to research it during our podcast here, but this was individual listings of, individual teams. The worst, by the way, no surprise, Oakland with
Oh well.
8,695 fans on an average, 8,695 there.
And they're lucky to draw in that many.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
And now there may be more confusion with uh, the move to Las Vegas. I was trying to. I was gonna paraphrase it and shorten it for the show, but it's so confusing. The story about it's all about money and the legislature, and they didn't offer as much, and so if you want to read about it, go to Ballpark Digest. There's a story on Clark County and the Oakland A's and discussing money and things like that. So I don't want to get into it here. You did mention though that we forgot a story last week, and yes, that's true. We were remiss in not mentioning that Kenley Jansen, a relief pitcher, the closer for the Dodgers for many years, became the seventh pitcher to record 400 saves. I believe he's with Boston Red Sox now. The 35-year-old spent the first 12 years of his career with Los Angeles Dodgers, recording 350 saves in his time there. So Kenley Johnson, one of the top closers of all time, Rich, he hit that 400 saves mark. That's a lot of saves.
Yeah, that's a ton of saves. Very few relievers make it that far in that business. So yeah, he's still chugging along now for the is it the Braves?
No, I think he left the Braves, went to the Red Sox, signed with the
Oh,
Red
okay,
Sox this year.
okay. Yeah, he's been
Yeah,
all over the place the last couple of years. Dodger.
yeah. Well, that's what happens.
Yep.
They get a certain age, the team doesn't think they can do it anymore, and another team says, "I think he's still got a little stuff in him," and they give him a chance and pitching pretty well. Last I looked for the Red Sox, up and down, but that's everybody's bullpen. Bullpen's a tricky thing. It's really, I think, the hardest thing to try to put together with a baseball team nowadays is that bullpen because you just don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because you got good hitters. Bullpens have been knocked around. I know our teams can vouch for that. Our
Yeah,
favorite teams.
yeah,
Especially this year. It's just amazing. Like every time you think you have a bullpen solved and you have a good bullpen, you find out, oh, maybe it's not that great.
yeah.
It's But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not easy to be a reliever and a top reliever at that. But congratulations for that milestone, Kenley
Yeah.
Jansen.
And I think a good example of the craziness of a bullpen would be your team last year, the Phillies. I mean, they got hammered a lot of during the season. I think it's fair to say I'm not, you know, uh, trying to be mean or anything, but your bullpen was terrible. And then down the stretch in the in the playoffs, the bullpen saved their bacon. So you just never know.
Yeah, yeah. And getting back to saves and things like that, a lot of the talk of the 2024 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot circles around Billy Wagner. Is Billy Wagner going to get in? Of course, a longtime reliever in his ninth year of eligibility for the Hall of Fame. He's had 422 saves, so he's got a long career himself. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And he had an overall ERA of 2.31. That's phenomenal, being a closer like that.
Well, I don't agree that he should get in because I don't understand how he gets in. He is number two on the save list for left-handed pitchers, and they're talking about him for the Hall of Fame, and yet the number one guy for left-handed pitches saves uh, don't even get a whisper, and I don't think that's right. And of course, I'm talking, and it's a little, I guess, it's being a homer, but John Franco's number one in left-handed saves for pitchers, for relief pitchers, and he can't even get any percentage of vote. So I don't know how you put number two in and not put number one in. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and so I hope that Wagner doesn't get in. And by the way, Wagner did play for the Mets for a couple of years, so it's
Yeah.
not it just doesn't seem right to me. It's not fair that he would get in and the number one guy wouldn't get in. It just doesn't make. It's not logical, as Mr. Spock would say. Uh, it's not logical to me. So,
Yeah,
but it is what it
424
is.
saves for John Franco.
Well, there you go.
Overall ERA of 2.89 over his career. So yeah, he was
They're
a great,
practically even. I mean, they had the same kind of numbers.
and probably the difference maker is the classes that he competed with to get into the Hall of Fame. He probably competed with a great amount of great players that were just instant ballot Hall of Famers. You know, that would be my explanation of it. But
Well, you'd have to
yeah,
go back and look. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem fair.
yeah, yeah. Franco was with the Mets. Seemed like forever. He was one of those guys that if you watched baseball, he made his debut in 1984, pitched all the way up to his age 44, almost 45. July 1st, 2005 is which he called it a career. His last game versus Cincinnati. So very brought me back there, Gary, with a few of those names.
Well, and of course, he started his career with Cincinnati, so uh, you know he wasn't always a Met either, and came over in a big trade and spent the rest of his career with the Mets. He may have went somewhere else at the end, but
Yeah, Houston, I think, where he
yeah,
spent
yeah,
31 games with Houston in 2005.
yeah. So I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I don't see how Wagner would gets all of this recognition and all these votes, and Franco got literally nothing. Just doesn't seem right. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's all about those classes, who's available, who isn't, who already made it, who didn't, uh, that sort of stuff. But Yeah, we have a game going on Sunday here already. It's one of those Peacock games. If you happen to have Peacock, you're able to watch the game. But if you don't, if your team is one of those teams that have this early game that generally starts at about 11:30, sometimes 12 o'clock on Sunday, they get the first game. You got to have Peacock to watch it, or you can't find it. And I think last year they gave it to you for free, but this year it's changed, and I hope baseball gets away from this individual channels, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that, Gary.
The money's too good, and uh, I actually do have Peacock, so it is a free service. I don't know if the game is free. It's a free service, but if you want the premium stuff, you gotta pay. But they were fairly reasonable. I got a really good deal on it. Um, uh, and that's why I signed up with it. It was I happen to like professional wrestling. I know it's fake. I know all of that, but I enjoy it, and so I signed up with it, and I get all the premium live events, which used to be pay per view, are on Peacock, and I got some deal. I was gonna sign up monthly and just cancel it, when it wasn't an event or something. And then they sent me a thing, and it was like ridiculous, Rich. It was like $30
Yeah,
for the
they got you.
year,
They got you
which
in.
is like $2 a month or something.
Yeah.
A little over $2 a month. So I figured, what the hell, for $30? So I went ahead and I got it, and been enjoying it, by the way. And but I did not put this game on. I think it was the Yankees and whoever they're playing this weekend. Not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Cincinnati is the game.
Cincinnati. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's going on as we're doing the podcast. And, of course, with a week left to get to Memorial Day weekend, that's when the baseball race starts to heat up, as we've talked about. If you listen to our show for the last couple years, you'll know that that's probably one of our favorite times to really key in on the game. Right from Memorial Day right on through Labor Day is really the heart of the season. And I just heard something the other day, Gary. Do you believe the baseball season is 25% over already? A quarter of the whole schedule is over. Yeah.
25%, and I don't know, Rich. I don't know about our teams, but
And keeps on going every day. But that's what I love about baseball. I have a few great friends that are football fans, and they'll constantly debate me. Oh, football's better. To me, my Sunday is every day of the week when my team's playing. If I'm going to the stadium, I'm just high as a lark to get there. And it's a 7 day a week sport. It's much different than football. Football's got that 1 day a week, from 1 to 9 o'clock at night. Say, it's all focused on football. That's it. But for the baseball fan, you've got 6 months every day. You've got games. So give me baseball any day.
and the other thing, football's trying to go like now they're on Monday night and Thursday
Thursday.
night and Sunday, and then when it gets towards the end of the season, they're on Saturday and Sunday and Thursday. So and don't they're trying to get into the other end of it without uh getting too banged up, I guess, because they say they can't play but once. They don't like the short weeks, and look, soccer play more than one game a week, I think, and those guys, and hockey. Talk about getting banged around. Hockey is, and those guys can play 3, 4 games in a week. So
Yeah.
Are the football players soft? I don't know. Maybe they are.
I don't know, but it
Uh,
seems like over the years, it takes its toll. If you've ever seen NFL players that are
oh
retired and
yes,
all, I
yeah,
mean, God, they're
yeah,
practically
yeah.
hunched over, some of them, and it doesn't look on TV. It doesn't look as brutal as I'm sure it is on the field, obviously. But that's why we like baseball anyway. It's a great sport.
But let me mention my wrestling again. You want to talk about guys that get banged up? I mean, those they don't even have protection on, and those guys they're relying on the other person in the ring with them to not to screw up and break their necks when they're doing some of the moves. So,
Yeah,
yes, the outcomes are known. Yes, it's fake. But boy, those guys jumping off a top rope and landing on that mat, that is not fake. That hurts. I mean,
can't
you
fake
know,
that.
no, you cannot. And these guys are in. Some of these guys are in bad shape. Their knees go, their hips go, their backs go out on them and stuff, and not to mention concussions like the football players. So let's have a little love for the pro
For the
wrestlers.
wrestlers.
I don't want to turn this into a WWE show, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah, a little love for them. It's a tough sport as well.
Okay, well, that's cool. So, segueing into our next segment here on the program, home run celebrations. And I just saw this on the main screen at, I believe it was ESPN.com this morning, or was it MLB.com? I don't know. What do you think about these celebrations now? One team put somebody in a cart and used to wheel them down the dugout. Now other teams are putting these big helmets on. I saw the Angels with a big like warrior helmet they're using. You think this is starting to get a little out of control with certain teams?
I didn't want to get on this subject, but I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. Do your job. Go out there. I go watch something from the '60s when the Yankees were winning. There, and Mantle hit a home run. He comes back. They shake hands, and none of all of this celebration. Why do we got to have all of that? And I'll tell you the thing that really bugs me is now what is it? I sound like the old man with the get off my lawn speech, but
Uh-huh.
guy gets a base hit, and then they get on first base and they look in the dugout and they're doing all these hand gestures.
Yeah.
Come, you're losing 14-0.
Yeah.
Don't why are you doing all of this crap? You're supposed to get a hit. That's your job. Your job is to try to get it. What are all of these freaking hand gestures? That that drives me crazy. I don't want to see. I know. Oh, their individuality and everything. Come on, enough is
Yeah.
enough. Just be more humble and you know. I like it when a guy, he goes 0 for 30 and then gets a hit, and then he's dancing around like he's a 400 hitter or something.
Yeah. And
Please,
and the home run celebrations
the,
kind of remind me of football the way it was getting when they would score a touchdown. I
right,
I stopped
exactly,
watching. I stopped watching the NFL for a long time because of that. I just couldn't
yeah.
stand it anymore. I mean, you scored a touchdown. You don't have to pose and all, come together and, make a weird type of thing that's rehearsed celebration type of thing. It's a touchdown for God's sakes. Not a Broadway musical. Cut me a break. And that's what these celebrations are turning into. I mean, baseball has to get back to baseball, I think. Some of these guys that are coming up, these younger guys and all with this, I hate to say it, it's BS. You know what that
I
stands for.
agree. I agree. I can see, if it's a walk off and you all get excited and they run to home plate and they're all celebrating. Okay, that's okay. But you know what? If if you're losing the game 8-0, the guy hits a home run and you do one of them celebrations, that's ridiculous. Because look at the scoreboard, you're getting your asses kicked.
It's stupid, yeah. But
So
just
it's just ridiculous.
just an observation from the
Ah.
baseball talk radio show here. And by the way, if you like our show, you're probably going to like a lot of the shows that are on baseballtalkradio.com, the home for great baseball talk radio shows. There's a 24-hour, 7-day week audio feed that's live again this year. First time in a couple years since the COVID time. I turned it off, but it's back, and you can listen now around the clock to some of the favorite shows that you like and explore some other ones at baseballtalkradio.com, including Gary's Mets Musings. We have a good friend, Len and Jeff, at Baseball and Barbecue. They do a great show. And by the way, I'm glad they're doing so well. That they have a long show too, Gary. It's over
Yeah.
hour and a half sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, but they do a good job. They recently they had on baseball writer, author extraordinaire Eric Sherman, who of course I've spoken to on Mets Musings a couple of times, and he's on there this week with the boys. So go check out their podcast, and they always have interesting guests with barbecue. I don't know anything about barbecue, but they always make me hungry. No, so it's a
Yeah,
dangerous show from that point of view, but
that's for sure. I guess
good
that's
tips, and
the
you learn
key.
all
It's
about
getting
it.
to that barbecue weather outside
Yeah,
slowly in the Northeast. I mean, we've had still some like 40-degree nights here in the past couple days if you're
yeah,
in the Northeast. But yeah, I don't remember it being so cool and chilly this late into May around where we
yeah,
live, Gary.
yeah. Well, that's they'll say that's the climate change. That's it's no longer global warming because it wasn't getting warmer. So now they covered back in the 70s they had the ice age. We were heading towards an ice age.
Uh
Then it
huh.
was global warming. We were all going to fry. And now that didn't happen. So then I had to revamp it all to call it climate change. So if it gets start dropping the temperature, they can say, see, we told you. And if it starts going up the temperature, they can say, see, we told you, climate change. But uh, I know some people are going to get mad about the that, and if they want to, they can contact us. Just look at the banner below there. There's our email addresses, so you can contact us if you don't like us talking about climate change or professional wrestling or anything like that.
Or you do like some of this
Or
stuff.
you do like that. Yeah.
That's true. Well, I can't wait for Memorial Day next weekend, the unofficial start of summer. And here we go again, another 12 weeks of summer and great baseball. As the baseball starts to fly out of the stadium when the heat and humidity pick up, and it becomes a different game. Of course, we're going to experience a faster version of that this year with most of the games. Used to be sort of a slow lollygagging, lemonade type of iced tea afternoon of baseball. You could settle down for a 3.5 hour game or four if so, if the gods willed it, the baseball gods. But now that's changed. So you got to sip your tea and your lemonade or whatever you have pretty quick.
Pretty quick indeed. And Rich, if I might throw in some history today, and this came from somebody called Sarah Langs on Twitter, and was sent to me by our good friend Jeff of Baseball and Barbecue. And the Mets today are starting Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander in their doubleheader. That would be the first time the Mets would be the first team to start pitchers who have each won three plus Cy Youngs in both ends of a doubleheader. So there's a little bit of baseball trivia, baseball history, if you will, uh, for today's game. And Rich, I know how much you like the rule changes that Major League Baseball has rolled out in uh, the last few years, and we've had a little conundrum here with one of them, and that was the visits to the mound. Apparently, Alex Manoah, a pitcher for the Blue Jays, Toronto Blue Jays, was pitching at Rogers Center the other day, and with two on and two out in the sixth, Manoah had just 85 pitches in, was pitching pretty good. Manager John Schneider jogged out for a chat. The problem, however, was that pitching coach Pete Walker had already visited Manoah that inning, and a second visit in the same inning necessitates a pitching change by rule. The home plate umpire and crew chief, Dan Iazonia, relayed that information to Schneider, who turned and shared it with the starter. Manoah's shoulders sank and he walked off the mound, gas still in the tank. And, we talk about pitchers going uh, deeper into game, and here's a guy that had something left, was pitching a pretty decent game, and they took him out due to a stupid error about visitation. So he becomes a victim of baseball's new rules.
Yeah, and that's a shame. I don't understand that rule, of course, and don't want to go on a rant about it. I think people's heard my rants enough in the past couple of shows here. But it just goes to show you that this is probably something they should adjust as well. But, baseball as it was before, it's changed this year. So, um, all in the name of a very fast game. And again, I won't even comment further on it.
All right. Well, I think you're right though. I think it's something they have to look into and change. I think perhaps three visits may be better in an inning, and then you got to take the guy out. Um, it's not going to slow the game up that much. It doesn't happen a lot, and I think the throwing to first base rule has to be amended as well. Um, that seems very stupid to me. You throw over twice, and then the guy knows you can't throw over anymore. So, it's kind of a silly thing in a way.
Yeah, yeah. It's changed base running, it's changed the dynamic of stealing a base, obviously. When a runner knows, like you said, that he can't be attempted to be picked off by the starting pitcher, I mean, they have an advantage. They just do. They know that the pitcher has to go to home plate, and I don't know how they would adjust that. But it's taken a dynamic out of the game that used to exist, and it's almost like the rule that they're starting a runner at second in extra innings. I had to leave a game last time I was at the stadium. I wanted to leave before I saw that. I just don't care for that rule at
Yeah.
all. And my team, I think, benefited from it, possibly. I forget, maybe not the first inning, but the second inning that was played. But I just don't agree with it. I mean, if you can't win an extra inning game in that top of the 10th, there's something wrong. You're starting a guy at second. You bunt over, you can move him to third, and a sac fly, you win the game. That to me is a waste.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a silly rule, and
Just
I
flip a
don't know.
coin at that point. Like there would be a better outcome, in my opinion.
But unfortunately, they say the people like it. I don't know who these people are that like it, but apparently there are people that do like it. So They're going to
Yeah,
keep
it's
it.
just weird. Just weird the way that has changed the dynamic of the game. The overall feel of the game. Forget about running the catcher over at home. Um, I can live with that rule, but not these other rules. So we'll see if time makes them change these certain rules, adjust some. That's going to be obvious, I think. Like what you said, the pitching, pickoff attempts. Maybe the pitch clock is what I've heard, and it depends who you listen to as well. So we'll see after the end of the season what stays and what goes. Yep, we'll be talking a lot more as the holiday gets near here. Memorial Day in just a week, and great baseball to come for the year. So it was great talking baseball with everyone. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe. Share us with your friends. We need more listeners. So drop us a line, even get in touch with us. So some of our listeners, Gary, I think they drifted off to sea somewhere and are on an island somewhere. We don't hear from them anymore.
Yes, they're one of those all the ships at sea guys.
Yeah, yeah.
They're out
Drop
there.
us a line, Rich at baseballtalkradio.com or Gary at baseballtalkradio.com. Let us know you're out there, what you think. We'd love to hear from you. So have a great week, everybody, leading up to the holiday here, and enjoy the games.
And we'll see you next time on the Baseball Talk Radio Show.